This episode of Modern Men is brought to you by the Hero Initiative. If you guys want to see how you can give to those creators in need, go to heroinitiative.org and figure out how you can give to these heroes in need. Once again, we are powered by the Hero Initiative. What's going on, guys? We're here for Modern Men Monday, back after an amazing episode last week with The Watchmen. Tonight, we'll be covering Reaver by Justin Jordan and Rebekah Issacs and talking about how you guys can get ready for your con experience, because guess what? This Friday starts con season already. We just ended it like a month ago, and now it's already starting again. So we'll talk about the frequency of these cons, how to prepare for the insanity that is con season, and see what these gentlemen think you guys need to do to have a successful con. So before we get into those topics, we'll go down the panel and see who's with us tonight. Over there, we got Comic Man Andy. Oh my God, look at the beard, look at the comb. How's that beard today, Andy?
It is luscious. I'm gonna need a thesaurus.
I was just getting ready to say that.
Like, my coffee out.
Luscious beard.
Oh man, well, we're happy to have you here, Andy. And then down in the basement down there, we got JB from Discovery Bay Comics. How you doing today, JB?
How you doing, everybody? Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this. I can't wait to see what Drew Manchu has to say about this one.
Oh man, speaking of Drew Manchu, what's on your mind?
Man, I can't believe I rolled out of bed for this one, guys. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, if you guys couldn't tell, we're doing a premiere. Unfortunately, stupid me again has to work tonight. I'm sorry, we're not live. So it's in reality, it's noon Eastern time, which is Drew's wake up time.
It's my day off, man.
So Drew hasn't had any coffee in him yet. He's not fired up, ready to tear down D. Well, actually, he is fired up.
AC Wood, don't forget to shout out Chris Barrett in the chat.
Oh yeah, we got Chris Barrett in the chat tonight. I think Thunderhouse Design, he usually joins us. Those guys are great. Thanks for joining us. You better be here is all I know. If not. All right, anyway, I did want to kind of recap on last week's episode. So we spent the whole time talking about Watchmen. And big thanks, I even wore a shirt today. Thanks to the great legend for joining us and giving his expertise on all things Watchmen, including the HBO series, the movie, and the Before Watchmen. I think he's the only person I know who's read Before Watchmen, so big thanks to him offering up his expertise. But I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on how last week's episode went. And JB, I'll start with you because it looks like you're all excited to talk about the end of Watchmen.
Yeah, remember I had only gotten to like book 7 when we did the show, so I had a lot ahead of me, and I got to I was intrigued by that pirate story, and yes, this guy went home and killed his wife in the madness. It was just, oh my God, it was so riveting. The way this whole book was told, the narration bubbles from conversations, the end when they have this crazy squid pop into New York City and all these people that you've been caring about and all this, it's all building to this thrush, this huge boom. There was all this anger out there. It was fantastic, man. I really enjoyed the hell out of this book. It was way better than the movie, I thought, for sure. And now I'm got to go watch HBO now to see how this thing continues.
Oh, yeah.
If it's a straight continuation of this story, I gotta know what happens.
I think the first few episodes is that they're a little bit difficult to get into, but I think it's one of the rare series that actually gets better with every episode. So I think if you keep with it, you'll enjoy it.
Definitely. I was bummed that Rorschach had to die at the end, though. That sucks, man.
Yeah, he just splat. But Andy, what about you? What did you think about last week's episode?
I loved it. I'm excited to dive back into that. I got the movie set on the DVR. I've got the episodes DVR'd. It's just got to make time to sit down and watch those and then compare the two. So I want to reread that series again, then get into the movie this week and the show this week, and then turn right back around and get back into that book and just start comparing everything.
Nice. Drew, how do we follow up last week's episode?
Man, I'm sitting here holding up my copy of The Watchmen, which is like one of many that I've had over the years. And I'm reading the comments on the back from major media outlets. I just think Entertainment Weekly said it best: a masterwork representing the apex of artistry. And where do you go from there but down? So it's kind of hard to compare the book that we all read and reviewed last week, even though I wasn't here to review it. I was watching you guys live and hoping I could have been here, and now I got to come back and talk about something that's not that.
All right. Well, like I said last week, I mean, that's the bar for like all modern age comics. So, yeah, unfortunately, it's a very high bar that's been set. So very few reads have actually achieved that personally for me. And then, unfortunately today we'll just be straight up. Reaver, thumbs up so far, but not necessarily Watchmen. But I want to read some comments on last week's video before we get into Reaver. So Big World Comics comments. So when are you reading V for Vendetta, another Alan Moore classic? Guess what? It's in today's randomizer. So thank you, Big Will.
Very nice.
He has arrived and he had a suggestion. So we're putting that in today's randomizer. It's the top pick. Drew Manchu says, good show, fellas. Thank you to Drew for commenting. Underhouse Design said, great show. Bummed that he missed it in the live stream. Hey, that's all right, man. We're always available on the Rewind here on the Comic Core channel. And then JD Comics says, great work and great comments about Moore's works. Thank you for this. So big thanks to JD for commenting. So guys, don't forget to leave your comments and suggestions for the show in the comments below, in the chat to the side. Usually we try to at least read the chat if we're here on the premiere side of things. And get those suggestions in on what you want us to read, what feedback you guys want to leave on the show, and all that good stuff. All right, so without further ado, we got to get into this book, Reaver. So this one's by Justin Jordan and Rebekah Issacs, and it follows a cast of 6 Reavers. I don't really know what to call this team of wanted, armed, and dangerous bandits, but it's a world of light and magic. Drew put it best when I was talking to him yesterday. It's kind of like almost like a World of Warcraft type universe meets Suicide Squad. So we'll go ahead and start with Drew because I know you had plenty of things to say about Reaver before we hopped in here and hit the record button. So Drew, what are your initial thoughts on Reaver?
Yeah, meh. That's like it's not terrible by any means. There are some really cool things in this book, but altogether, it didn't do anything to grab me. I felt like I forced myself through 6 issues. I felt like I still don't know why the 2 main parties are at war. I feel like none of that even matters. I feel like the world itself is very bland and generic. And the whole deal is they're kind of like a Suicide Squad that is, they're all taken out of jail and sent on a suicide mission where if they don't complete their mission, they won't get the antidote for the poison that they've ingested that needs a daily antidote. And it's like, there's some really cool sword and sorcery panels in this, but overall everything was just like, every time a character opened their mouth and gave me exposition, I didn't care. I glossed over it. I like Justin Jordan a lot. There are a lot of stories that he's written that I would consider some of my favorite indie comic stories. I love his Luther Strode series. I really enjoyed Spread. He did a 5-issue arc for Aftershock called Strayer, which I found to be a really well fleshed out world. I think that he's got a lot of good ideas in here. I don't think any of them come to fruition. And it boils down to they're on this mission to incite magic to stop magic because magic is powerful and we don't want people using magic. And it's, I mean, come on.
All right. So, JB, I'll let you come in with the counterpoint here.
Yeah, counterpoint. First of all, we read comic books to just escape realism and to go off into that fantasy world, right? Now, I know anything that we were going to read after this was not going to really live up to expectations. So let's set that. I actually read this every 2 weeks, or I think this was an every 2 week or every month publication. I think it was every 2 weeks. But I was on this series from the beginning because I enjoyed some of the characters. I enjoyed that concept. I take you out of jail. It reminded me of, lots of other fun adventures. Let's get the band of characters that it doesn't matter if they die because they were freaking in jail anyway. I love the antidote daily. It added some little twist to the story. But the characters themselves, the little skin eater chick is fantastic. I dig her. And the big Goliath killing monster dude, he has his story arc and he comes to his redemption. I actually enjoyed this book. Now, am I going to say that this is a 9.0? No, this is, like when we get to grading, it's going to be on the lower end of the scale because overall, I do feel it was underdeveloped. I think Andy had laid it perfect that, you kind of laid the groundwork and stuff, but we never really got into any of the characters enough to really care about them enough. I almost thought that as I was reading this, one of these fuckers is going to die. There's somebody who's going to die every episode probably, because that's kind of the story I was reading. But all in all, this was fun. And there are some great panels in here. The magic use here when this guy is using the blood, and this huge, to see the future, so the main villain that they're going after is supposedly this guy. And the twist at the end is kind of cool, right? Who you think is the main guy isn't actually the main guy. He's just kind of a puppet. I thought it was fun, considering what it is. It's a little 6-issue story of a band of people who should have been dead anyway. So I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Can I just offer a quick counterpoint to support my assessment of this book and kind of take some of the life out of your joy, JB, because that's kind of what I do.
Go for it.
You really like the skin eater chick and that big guy, and the bad guy does the blood thing. Here's the thing, dude. You liked it, and you don't remember any of their names.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's why I put this up, so we'd remember names.
It's true.
Right? The one name I remember is Essen Breaker, who is the Reaver. They say it one time. He says, "I am Essen Breaker, the Reaver, son of the devil." He's like the only character that's any good. There's the Harley Quinn skin eater chick who's just like
skin eater chick. Yeah. Ricola.
Rekla, or here's the deal.
Those are the two characters.
If you could tell me the difference between the Escaline, the Imperials, and the Rail, like if you could just give me a basic difference between them.
We never learned that. It was never discussed. You don't get that backstory. So maybe there's more to it. It's just like Star Wars. We're going to give you the middle story, and if it catches and people are interested, maybe it gives you the prequel on the next release. So if we're interested.
Good luck getting that.
All right, Andy, where do you fall on all this?
It was fun yet underdeveloped in my opinion. And you look at the back, they just random turncoat, skin eater. Well, what are their names? Bodyguard, serial killer, the devil's son. Like Drew's saying, Reaver. He only referred to himself as Reaver once in the whole book, and I finished the book wondering, why is it called Reaver again? I had to go back and find that again when he mentioned that. Is it fun? Yes. It does feel underdeveloped. It does feel rushed. I feel like this arc could have been twice as long and delved into a lot deeper. When I saw the covers, I fell in love with the covers at first when the book was coming out. Cover number 1, I'm like, holy crap! That's everybody was talking about that cover when it first hit. So when that cover hit, everybody's like, wow, and then there's this racy scene in it, and the racy scene didn't really develop. It was just kind of an idea of what had happened. One of your good and noble officers tried to put his in my mouth, and I let him, and she bit it off or something like that. But then looking at those covers, I felt like the art inside the book was a little campy after looking at all these amazing covers. It got a lot better in the end, though, in my opinion, with the art. The story also sped up and got better. The last, 3 issues I felt were probably the best. That's one of my favorite panels at the beginning, where he's
so that's the Reaver.
And like Drew said, who are who are these people warring? The different factions or the
I
different.
couldn't tell. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it starts off. It starts off on an actual battle scene where the reason the guy's in jail is because he was a coward.
Yeah, he ran away.
He ran away from the battle, so he was freaking. That's
Right.
why
And
he
he's
was
your
in
point of
jail.
view character for this story, and he's terrible. Like,
Yeah,
he doesn't do anything worth respecting, and he doesn't do anything of note. He just has these reaction shots of him being like, "Oh my god!" Like throughout the whole thing, it's really, really bad. And you don't get the they basically say he's a coward, so he's a deserter, but all of the rest of the guys were murdered. So who arrested him for it? Like how do you get caught for that?
How did
And
that
like,
story carry on out of the battlefield?
and
Yeah.
why does it matter? Because he has dark hair, so he looks like these other people, so he can none of it has any legs. Like, there are so many great ideas in this book, none of them have legs.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys for the most part on my opinions of this book. Like, I didn't mind. Sorry, I had to bring it up to remember the names again, but I didn't mind Ash's character because I kind of felt like he was just a guy with PTSD thrown into this war environment against his will. So unfortunately, like when he was thrust into these battle situations, like his PTSD just kicked in, and he is unfortunately paralyzed by fear, which later in the book, the main bad guy uses fear to kind of fuel his blood magic. So Ash was kind of like the ultimate fuel for him later on. And that kind of brings me to my personal page of the week, is just when that fear magic is fully kicked in and all the characters except for Harley Quinn and Jace is affected by it. You have to see Essen Breaker overcome. I love me some Green Lantern, so anytime a character has to overcome great fear, I kind of mark out for it, and that's what Essen Breaker does here before he just breaks some people's skulls open. So really like that scene, easily my scene of the week. But like I said, I do agree with a lot of your guys' points. I think it was 6 total issues. I feel like nothing really happened or really kicked in until issue maybe 4 and 5, maybe 6 actually. Like whatever the final conflict was, when you actually get to see Essen Breaker and sorry, I had to bring up her name again, Ricala. Yeah, there you go. There's the gag. Once those two start just annihilating everything in their path, that's when the book gets really fun for me. But to kind of talk about the heroes and the villains of this book, like that's where I kind of got confused myself, because the main villain you guys were talking about, I don't even know what this dude did to like be a villain. It seemed like he just had some sacrificial people on his own team that he sacrificed. Like, I don't know what the ramifications of his actions are going to be that this team of 6 has to stop. So that's why I was just like, are these people really heroes? Are they just conflicting with each other? I don't know if it's like Justin Jordan watched like Game of Thrones or something and was like, I just want to create a book where I thrust the reader in this world of characters, and it doesn't really matter who's good or bad. You're just getting invested into the characters. But fortunately, 2 out of these 6 characters, in my opinion, were the only ones you kind of want to spend some time with and see their adventures. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I see kind of maybe what he is going for, but I don't know if the end result exactly got there. So my next question, we'll just keep going around the horn. JB, I think you mentioned already, but did you have a favorite character? It doesn't have to be any of these 6 characters, but did you have a favorite moment or character you wanted to highlight real quick?
Moment or character? No, I think the little Ricola chick was pretty much fantastic. Every scene that she was in, she was pretty good. And then again, Essen Breaker, the main, when he goes off, it was awesome. And then, I think the twist at the end was kind of cool, man. Here you are thinking this wizard the whole time, and the whole time is just a puppet. So, I mean, literally a puppet, like a hand puppet.
Yeah.
So, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Drew?
Yeah, I like the character Ash, who like in the beginning was going to hang himself, and they should have just let him. He did nothing of interest or consequence the entire rest of the story. He cut off that dude's head, and they were like, I got that guy. Like, who the fuck was that guy? Like, who was that guy? right? They don't explain mostly anything about what's going on. They just kind of expect you to go along for the ride and take
Go for the ride.
There's so many generic thoughts and story points in this book that you're just supposed to be like, yeah, well, of course that's what happened. This is a sword and sorcery book. I did not like it. I did not like it. I do not like this green eggs and ham. And it's not that it was terrible. There was some good stuff in here. The Essen Breaker character was like, that's what this book should have been. It should have been the redemption arc of this giant, unbeatable warrior who suffered massive head trauma and went crazy and killed his own battalion, and then has to go on this mission with a bunch of ne'er-do-wells. Like, if this was written around Essen Breaker, the Reaver, the way that I feel like it should have been, considering he's one of the only characters that survives into arc number 2, whether that's ever going to come out or not. Like, and you don't get any of that until the middle of the arc. And like, man, if I just would have bought the number 1 of this book off the shelf on New Comic Book Day and went home and read it, there is absolutely no way I would have read issue number 2. None. It's probably the worst number 1 issue out of any arc that we've read on this show so far. I was like, oh, there are 5 more of these, really? It got better as it went, but like the setup was just so generic and convoluted. And there's just, after the like, this is supposedly taking place after the big war. Like, what? Well, there's still a guy sacrificing prisoners of war to see the future. Like, it just.
Yeah, if the war.
I don't understand why of any of this. There's like no why to any of it.
Yeah.
Andy, what about? I don't even know. What was my question? Oh yeah, favorite character.
Any of the characters.
Easily the Essen was my favorite character. Just like Drew's saying, the whole arc should have been focused around him. I did like, what is it, Thace, however you pronounce that, the bodyguard, because the whole puppeteering kind of thing that could have been.
The bodyguard wasn't the bodyguard. The bodyguard was the villain in the end. That was the reveal. That was the whole point.
Right. Like, I mean, that could have been delved deeper into that interesting puppet master-esque kind of thing. I wanted a little bit more of that, to be honest with you. But yeah, Essen Breaker, the Reaver himself, that was my favorite character.
Yeah, no, I think with Essen Breaker, if they actually continue this series, which at the end it said to be continued, but from what I could tell, I don't think there's an issue 7 yet. I don't know if and when it's coming out.
It says issue 7, The Grim After, part 1 of 5, March of 2020.
Oh, that's coming up, Drew. We got to put that on your pull list.
I cannot wait.
But if I was structuring this tale, helping Justin Jordan out, wherever, I'd say Volume 2's got to deal with Essen Breaker's origin, so we can finally see how he got that massive head wound and turned on his own platoon or fleet or what have you. So you build up that origin story. Then issue 3, he's figuring out or trying to save Rakala, because her whole ending in this one is kind of up in the air. She kind of gets blown up in a blood pit. But we'll see if she died in that. I think she's probably the second most popular character, if not the most. So she's probably going to be brought back at somewhere down the line. So I would just like to see them two causing chaos in this realm, no matter whose side it's on. So I think that's kind of like your Batman and Robin you build up in this book going forward, if you're depending on how long you're going to continue it. And then they finally deal with the blood magic people and Volume 4. So I think there's potential here for the series. I don't want to completely shoot it down, but like I said, there's a lot of development needs to be done in the world of Reaver.
Well, there was a huge supporting character that nobody here spoke of, right? And it's massive, and it's a big deal, and that's Essen Breaker's beard. So that thing was majestic. I want to see the origin story of that beard, and I need to get mine going some more and get that little skull-shaped thing.
Yeah. It once was a peach fuzz.
All right, so my last question before we kind of give our final rankings is, Andy, I see you read the trade. I know also we read the Walking Dead trade. Do you like it better when trades typically forego like letting you know when an issue ends and the next one begins? Because at least like I read mine digital on my iPad on Comixology. It didn't have really any indications on when you were going from issue to issue. So do you like when they do that, or does that like, or you don't? Okay.
I personally don't like that. That's why I like reading single issues better. If I'm grabbing a trade or if I'm grabbing Comixology and reading digital comics, it's convenience factor, time. Either I can't find the single issues fast enough or they're key issues and they're too expensive. So if you guys see me grabbing trades or digital reads, it's a convenience factor for me. And when they just skip from issue to issue and don't give you, I mean, the issues are written to have some sort of a cliffhanger in them a lot of times. Well, it's lost when you're in a trade and it just flows right through. I read that book in an hour and had no idea where each issue ended and began.
Yeah, I was kind of the same way. I think going back to Walking Dead, I think it works well with The Walking Dead because you can really escape into their world. And there's none of that like reality breaking part where it says like to be continued. I mean, sometimes they can work a cliffhanger in and you'll just kind of acknowledge it as a splash page and keep going. So you may gain or lose something from that depending on how you interpret what you're reading, I guess. But here, I mean, it was a little bit of a drag for those first 3 issues trying to get, through it, because sometimes I'll read an issue, then take a break or whatever, or read 2 issues. Here, it was just like I pretty much had to find a bookmark, or luckily I was on Comixology and it saved my spot for me most of the time.
Well, you make a great point with Walking Dead where it pulls you into that world a bit more like that. But you're also talking a comic book that's been out for more than a decade.
Yeah.
So when people sit down and read those trades, you can get sucked in. You can read 3. You have 10, 20 trades that you can sit and read. This is one trade. That's it. So it's over, it's done, and then there's nothing after that.
Thank God.
It pulls whatever it did to pull you into that world, you're back out of it just like that, and you're done.
You guys are awesome.
All right, so I think we've talked enough about Reaver and picked on poor Justin Jordan a little bit too much. But Drew, we'll start with you on your score. What grade do you give Reaver?
I love Justin Jordan. I like his writing. I do not like this at all. I can't wait to see him in person and tell him I didn't like it. This is a 3.2 PGX, my friends.
No. Dang.
3.2 PGX.
God, I just had to put that extra mustard on there.
Wow.
I mean, feedback's important.
Ouch.
All right, fine. It's a 2.8 CBCS.
Andy, what about you?
I'm gonna go 7.5 CGC.
Wow.
I enjoyed it and I had fun. I didn't love it though. I felt it was underdeveloped. I still feel it's just an underdeveloped story that could be fleshed out big time.
JB?
That was my grade too, right there, 7.5. I mean, I had fun with it. I didn't read it right after Watchmen. I read it as it was coming out, and I had fun with a couple of the characters. So I will buy issue number 7. I want to see what happens to Breaker.
It's an interesting comparison because I read it as it was coming out, but I stopped after I grabbed that first issue and then waited a little bit. So as it was coming out, but I didn't read it right after Watchmen like that.
If I grabbed that first issue, I would have still kept waiting. You guys would have been like, we're reading Reaver. And I'd have been like, oh, well, I'll see you guys next week.
I think for me, I'm going to give it an overall 7.0 grade. I'll give it a CGC, none of that extra BS. But I think, 7.0, maybe some spine ticks on that spine, unfortunately. But overall, like I said, I think there's a lot of potential for something bigger here. I'm trying to think of another book. Probably Invincible would be like a good example to compare this book with, where the first trade kind of just establishes names and characters, and then maybe the second trade will be the one where it all comes together. You have, these heel turns that really make the book bigger and better. But we'll see. I guess issue 7 comes out next month, so I'm really curious to see if there's going to be some nice world building here, or it's just going to be another average trade that's from Image, basically. So that's my overall score on that. All right. So, like I said, if you guys enjoyed our review or lack thereof of Reaver, definitely put some suggestions in the comments below. We'll be putting them in the chatter box now, and we'll do our best to get them in a future randomizer down the line. But we'll go ahead and move on to our main topic of the night, seeing as how C2E2, as of this recording, is this Friday. That's right. It's only February, but C2E2 is this Friday.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about some convention prep. So nowadays, there's like a con every single weekend. There's multiple cons every weekend. Back in the day, it used to be maybe something you do like once, maybe twice a year if you were lucky. You get to go to like a Wizard World or San Diego or what have you. But now, like, since I don't know, maybe it correlates with the movies hitting big and that stuff. The rise of cosplay and all that fun. There seems to be this huge boom of conventions right now. So Andy, we'll start with you because I know you got a backpack. You're excited to talk about a few things. What do you do to prepare for the whole con season, if you will?
Well, this is my first year really like thinking about it as a season. Last year I made it to a couple conventions. Before that, it was just one or two local deals. One of the big things that I pay attention and like to do, buy my tickets early. They usually offer some sort of special or a package deal or something like that. They either C2E2 shipped our badges ahead of time, so we have those available. A lot of the other ones, you just print off the tickets. It's super convenient. It's nice. I try to keep things simple. I tend to overthink everything and I overplan and put too many details in it. So whether I'm staying at another city or I'm driving or I'm flying, I keep it to just one bag. Just one bag. I do a lot of camping. I do a lot of hunting. So I tend to favor a hunting backpack because they're designed for all day wear and comfort. And I get some water bottles in there, but this one's my favorite because I can fit a magazine box and I can fit a regular comic box in here. What do they call these again? These magnetic
folios.
The folios, yeah. I fit the big magazine one in because you never know when you're going to run into something cool that's bigger than a standard comic size, and you can fit some trinkets in the front. But it keeps everything protected, keeps it all in one bag, keeps it neat, keeps it nice. And they're not heavy. And then I got room for a couple of slabs in there. And if I end up buying like 10 slabs, I can just carry one of these around and I'm good to go. I got room for water bottles. I keep a battery pack in here. A lot of electronic devices floating around conventions. You're using them constantly all day long, but there's not a lot of plugs. There's not a lot of places to sit down and charge up. So, one of those like $60 little battery packs I carry with me with a cord. I really like the hunting pack too because these come with built-in rain flies. So if you're leaving the convention in a downpour, I can pull that out and make sure everything's protected.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Andy, can you show that liquid container one more time? That's going to be one of my big tips right there. Bring a bottle of water because you'll be charged for everything, but more on that in a little bit.
Yep.
So, JB, I know you're excited to talk about con season, man.
Oh, yeah. What have I learned? Remember, I've only been to two. So I went to C2E2 was my very first con, right? And then Baltimore was my second one. But what has JB learned? So, very similar. You must bring a battery pack. Bring yourself an extra battery pack because inevitably your phone's going to be searching for Wi-Fi or whatever it is and your battery's going to go dead. So make sure you have yourself an extra battery pack. I also make sure that, if you're going to do a backpack or not, you got that folio. But my folio is kind of loaded because you want to make sure you have a couple Mylars in there, maybe a couple extra bags and boards because sometimes you're going to buy some stuff and the bags and boards are all old and funky. You've been digging through all these funky long boxes. And I like to swap out the bags as soon as possible because, you know what I'm saying? It's bad enough you're already digging through all that stuff. Also, bring yourself a tube. I'll tell you what, if you got a backpack and this fits in there, you'll be surprised at how many prints you're going to want to buy. And yeah, they're going to want to sell you the flat plastic, little holder. But if you got yourself a tube to put in your backpack, you can roll up your artwork and throw it in there. That's a good one. Now, I'm not sure what your guys' focus is, but my new focus has been that artwork, and I've got the little miniature version of the Steve Woodard sketchbook. And last year's C2E2, what was my big sketch? I had a lot of good ones, but my last year's C2E2,
that Perillo, right?
That Perillo, I got done at the very
Galactus. That Galactus is sweet too.
The Perillo I got done at the end was probably my favorite. And then when was this? This was Baltimore. I'll give you an example of Baltimore. You can get all kinds of really crazy stuff to get done in your book here. So
yeah, I remember you getting that done. That was cool.
you get yourself a little sketchbook. So I got sketchbook. I've got a tube for some prints. Make sure you got your battery pack, the folio, but put yourself a couple extra Mylars in there, a couple extra bags and boards, because if you do want, you probably want to swap your stuff out, and bottled water and a shit ton of cash, especially on the last day if you think you want to get a deal. I'm just saying.
And if the conventional lets you do it, carry some snacks, carry some good quality energy related snacks, not junk food, candy bar stuff. You'd be amazed at how quick you can burn yourself out. My first day at Baltimore last year, you guys saw it.
Yeah.
I was done and passed out against the wall like halfway through the first day because I wanted to see and do everything and meet everybody. And I was like about ready to go to the hotel and pass out.
Yeah.
But another key point on the folios is I'm the type of guy I like to do CGC convention drop-offs.
True.
So that means I don't have to ship. I don't have to pack. I control how everything's being handled and taken care of right up until the express drop-off at CGC. And then once I offload that first right away, get right in that queue with the express drop-off, and then I'm done. I've offloaded them. It just saves me a lot of time and a lot of hassle with shipping and everything else. And plus me, I'm nitpicky. I like to control how they're handled up until that point.
Can I throw another one out there? So just a little piece of advice. I submitted my first ever CGC submission at Baltimore. And man, this was probably the worst case scenario of how to submit your CGC, because you do not want to mix modern with silver with, I want a custom label on this one. I want to clean and press this one and this one. I submitted 6 books, and I think I'm going to get all 6 of them back individually shipped.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to do that. You want to really plan, together what you're doing. I did a show recently where I was deciding what I was going to send to CGC, and I was like, everything was Silver Age, and by the way, I'm going to throw in one of these. I have 8 or some ridiculous number of Ultimate Fallout 4s. I'll send one every time. And they go, dude, you can't do that, because now that's the one modern in the Silver Age set that you're sending, and it's a different tier and it's a big cluster. So make sure you plan ahead accordingly. If you are going to bring books with you to submit, the shipping is still going to kill you on the way back if you don't group the stuff correctly.
Yep. And my Baltimore drop off was 11 books, and they were all modern, and I had all of the paperwork done beforehand, printed off. And
nice.
I fold up that paperwork and stick it right in front of the folio. So I walk up that express drop off. I was done in less than 3 minutes.
Wow.
And my time was spent on the convention floor until they texted me when I was ready. And that was only my second CGC submission. And I got lucky, JB. I got lucky that they were all moderns, because if I had done all moderns, I would have ran into that same situation. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah.
Drew, what about you?
Oh, here's what I do, guys. I think to myself, who am I going to this con with? How are we going to have fun? And I stay up all night the night before, and oh man, it's going to be like Christmas. I'm going to see Carson. I'm going to see his sketchbook and what he got the last time that I didn't see. And I'm going to throw some comic folios together. That's a great deal. Great idea. Some books for CGC. Also a great idea. But for me, it's just like work hard a couple weeks beforehand, bank up some cash, and go and have a good time. I think that for me, if I do more than one day at a con, my first day is basically recon, right? I don't prepare before the con because you never know what you're going to get when you get there. So I like to basically just bring a buttload of money and then see what I can see on day one. And if there's anything that I got to have, I don't buy it right away. Just wait. Wait.
Just wait. And the lines, though, you got to be
everywhere.
And
I know you guys talk about prep, but for me, the only way you can really prep for a con is that first lap. That first lap is really the only way you can prepare. I hate bringing a backpack. I also hate not having somewhere to put my stuff, right? But what I hate more than not having somewhere to put my stuff is bumping into other people's backpacks. And I can't be a hypocrite about it. And here's the thing you should really do when you prepare for a con. Take your toddler and kick him out the window, because if there's a stroller in front of me or behind me, I'm going to freak out. All right, take your little kids, and if they can't walk and you don't want to hold them, don't bring them. And that's all I'll say on that.
I got a couple other little pointers that I just want to throw out to everybody because I've only been to 2 cons.
Hand sanitizer.
Yep.
Deodorant, bro.
Yep.
Deodorant.
Come on, man.
Emergency. If you get sick,
Bring it with you or just throw
fortify
it on
yourself.
somebody.
Some B12 and some vitamin C.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Oh.
I brought emergency for every day in Baltimore, and I'm glad I did because it warded off that con crud.
Yeah, con crud. Is that what you call it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And be prepared for con pricing because that's a real thing. Con pricing is a real thing. There's like a premium, but there's also negotiation, which is makes it fun because it's not like you just walking into your LCS and the guy's like, get the fuck out of here. You got all their competition and they all want to make a sale, especially on that last pack up day. So
right. And if you're buying if you're buying one book, look for other books that you want because a package deal will always net you a better deal.
The old bungaroo, yeah.
And I pulled this one the last time. I bought a statue at Baltimore on pack up day and got a hell of a deal on it, man. Nice. They're like, yeah, I don't want to pack this thing up. Would you want this? Yeah, let's work.
So here's a question that's been biting at me, and maybe you guys can help me out with this. We all know cash is king.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got the cash and a dealer's willing to make a deal and work with you, that's great. In this new day and age with technology, how do you guys think dealers feel about the electronic transfers?
They feel good about it. I seem like
they're good with PayPal, friends and family. They're really good with friends and family PayPal.
Yep. It's the same thing as handing them a handful of bills.
Yep. It's just as good as cash at the cons.
They don't have to carry all that cash around and then deposit it later.
When you're doing sketchbook commissions and stuff, they have their little credit card sign out and stuff. But if you say, "Hey, man, PayPal, friends," oh yeah, so they're down to take payment PayPal.
That's good to know because the more traveling you do, the more cons you go to, the harder it is to really sling a bunch of cash. Mm-hmm. Whether it's $500 or $5,000, whatever somebody's bringing, it's not easy hiding $1,500 or $5,000. Fanny packs are coming back, and there's a reason at conventions for people that are carrying cash.
I got dollar bills hanging out of my underpants like a stripper. That's how I roll.
Well, that's because I put them there. So
I shook it.
Did in Baltimore was I brought some stuff to trade. I knew what I was looking for. But I brought some stuff because when you get to the cons, especially all of us, we all see each other. So I already had 13 people that I could say, hey, is there anybody interested in any of these? And I, broke out all the different things that I was willing to trade.
Well, then you hook up with JD and those dealers that might be interested in those books too. A lot of people have a lot of dealer connections, so your trade might be filtered through 8 people in less than an hour.
So when I got to the con, I knew what I was looking for. I was looking for a first appearance of Sinister 6, Spider-Man Annual 1, and there weren't that many of them on the floor, but I did find one, and I traded 2 slabs, for that book. And it was relatively fair. They're going to take the number, they're going to look up the GPA, they're going to offer you 60 to 70% of that number kind of thing, because that's their markup. And when the math works, it works. So, and the guys are willing to trade out there, especially books that will move. I brought a Batman 181. So that was going to move.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So going back to the whole cash thing, I think technology is phenomenal, obviously. PayPal, great. Venmo, I would suggest having all those installed, having accounts ready to go just in case. But I also still recommend bringing that cash because, like you guys, I didn't have to say. I was going to say it, but I didn't have to. Cash is king. Whereas, there you go, these vendors are maybe a 75% chance you can use PayPal, but with cash in your hand, there is a 100% chance you're going to be able to buy something if you have the certain amount of money in your pocket. So I still recommend having a cash budget. There's going to be ATMs there, but you're going to be paying a nice surcharge. And at least at C2E2 and most of the Chicago cons I went to, there is a line for the ATMs.
Yeah.
You wait in line. Obviously, the last thing you want to do is wait in another line when you go to a con. So make sure you take cash with you. Don't take your whole bank account in your pocket, but at least try to take a decent amount. Like that's why I say you still want to do some prep. You want to plan and you want to figure out a budget just in case you want to get that commission or unfortunately now pay for those signatures, because nowadays you're going to be paying for those signatures. But my main things, my advice is you want to try to avoid paying these exuberant fees for con stuff. And my number one tip was going to be take one of these. Maybe you can't see it because it's see-through, but it's a print holder. So JB earlier had the nice roll. I also recommend that as well. But sometimes I don't like rolling up my prints. I like to keep them straight so they don't curve. But you will be charged out the wazoo for these clear holders.
There are people that just sell those.
Yes,
their entire booth is to sell you tubes and holders and plastic stuff.
And I'm okay paying for those a lot of times, even if their markups are high, because then one, I didn't have to pack it, I didn't have to carry it. Like Mike Zeck's table at Baltimore, I got a fantastic print right behind me, signed by him. I think it was $3 for the holder to go with it. I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah. See, he knows, because usually I think it's like $8 or $10 for the vendors that carry these.
Now, when you talk about money, we talk about con prices. That also means the host's food has what they call stadium pricing. Because it's nutso. You go, okay, I'll get a hot dog and a beer, and the guy goes $18.50.
Right, you got to bring cash because you don't know if you got the the Venmo might not cover that $12 soft pretzel you need.
Yes, Carson, that's what I'm excited for. This will be the first convention I've ever been to that has beer on the floor.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say.
There goes your budget, Andy.
I was going to use this show to let Andy know. Number one, I think this cost $10.50 last year, but you got discounted refills. But with the food, I love Chicago. I love C2E2, but the food sucks. I'm sorry.
Not good.
Food on the floor 9 times out of 10 is terrible. I literally watched most of the Comic Core A-Show panel eat that pizza there, and it was the saddest table I walked up to. I think it was me and Comic Spectre, or we were out adventuring. I warned him, like, dude, don't mess with the pizza. And they're like, we'll meet up with everybody else. And then everybody else was like at one of the pizza stands, and they're just like, they look so bad. So I recommend that bottle of water Andy had earlier. Definitely take a bottle or two of water with you. If you're gonna park at the con, throw a case of water. I go, buy a case of water. I just put it in the back of my car, and then I just pick from there if they don't. Because some of these cons, they don't even have water fountains anymore. They want you to buy the on-site water bottles for like a few bucks a piece.
So
definitely take water. Take a case of protein bars with you. If there's no food around the con, sometimes they purposely don't let restaurants build around convention centers, so the ones in the convention center can make the most money, which is fortunately, McCormick Place is kind of that situation where you have to walk 10 minutes to get outside officially. It's not like in Baltimore where there were tons of restaurants, in my opinion, even though that's where a lot of our money went that con too. But yeah, be prepared to eat out of your backpack, basically, if you want to save the most money. What else did I have? So definitely let me zoom in on myself for this one.
What do you guys feel about the con exclusives? I was hunting con exclusives.
Let me sketchbook.
There it is.
All right.
There it is.
So con exclusives, I'm glad you mentioned that. Take money for those too. And that's where it comes in, doing your homework. So right now I've been looking at the C2E2 con exclusives. There are some nice ones, but boy, are they expensive. Like I think they have like the foil. It looks like the Buffy cover. Basically, they have a lot of foils at the Graffiti Designs booth. They're doing Flash and Wonder Woman 750. They're $25 a piece though. So you got to be prepared to want these things, to know the prices, to be ready to pay those exuberant amounts. Because a lot of it seems like that's another thing that's been widely inflated too over the last few years of con exclusives. Because a lot of these I've been eyeing, I'm like, oh, that's a cool cover, but they're like starting price $20, $25.
And another one is sketch covers. Those seem to be like people bumping the prices on the sketch covers because they know that you're gonna pay for them.
Yeah, anymore.
Pricing sketch covers.
But if you just get a blank, that's another good tip, JB. If you don't like the sketch cover or the sketchbook idea, and you want to do like the blank covers, some artists will actually bring their own, and they'll just add that to the charge of the commission. But you can never go wrong by owning your local shop or even looking online, or hell, hey, you can go into some dollar bins, trying to find the sketch cover you think will best suit what you're going to want out of your commission. Because at the end of the day, it's starting to get to the point, like you said, where some of these vendors, they'll bring every sketch cover they have in their shop and they'll sell them back to you for $5, $10 at least. Yep. Because that's what people are doing at the cons, and that's their main way to shovel them off onto the masses.
I think as far as con exclusives go, I don't normally go for the con exclusive for the con itself, but I am very apt to go to like a Scorpion Comics booth,
Yes.
right?
Oh yeah.
And pick up some of their website exclusives at a cheaper rate than they were selling them on their website a couple months ago. I think if you go to these companies that have these booths at these cons, you're going to be able to find really great exclusive covers that you've seen online, didn't pull the trigger on, couldn't afford at the time. You're going to be able to get better deals on them, bulk deals, work with these guys. That's where, as far as exclusives, I look when I'm at cons.
And I'm excited because Midtown is going to C2E2. So I'm hoping they bring all of their site exclusives to their booth, so that way I can probably buy some of their exclusives are like $5 or $10 and not have to pay their shipping, basically.
Right.
I can buy them directly from them. So that's a good point too.
And some of the artists have exclusives like Tyler Kirkham and that they always release online, but when you're at their booth, they have specials and deals where you can get one signed or they're pre-signed with shirts and everything, at their booth. So that's something to look at.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next piece of advice. Like, definitely research Artist Alley. Like, you can get so many nice sketches, obviously, but you can get, exclusive books, like you just said. And my favorite thing to get from, some of these artists I can't afford commissions from is just their sketchbook. Usually I'll put together like a 20 or 30 page just book of previous commissions they've done and just mass produce it. Usually they'll make 150, 500 of these things. It's a good alternative to be able to give back to the artist you like, but not necessarily if you can't afford their commission rates, because some of them, unfortunately, they're just, they're not in budget, basically. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Well, you bring up a really good point, too, about knowing the layout. Print off a map. They do PDF versions of the con map.
Yeah. Or download the app. Because
depending on the con you're going to, some of those apps are absolute trash.
You gotta have the app.
That's why I just like to print it off.
Trash.
Some apps, some of the apps out there are not good. I remember we went to Fan Expo in Dallas, and the app was garbage.
Oh wow!
I just like to print it off on a piece of paper, quarter fold it, throw it in my pocket. Highlight the areas that I want to hit on day 1 or day 2, and now you can kind of plan your days a little more structured if you need it. If you need that structure.
There are a lot of good forums out there that you're going to watch. There's nice roundtables. People, they get up on stage and start talking about different topics. There's a lot of good information out there besides just hunting for books.
And then, like that was going to be my very last piece of advice. Like you guys know, I love to get me some sketches in my book, but I sometimes have to do a lot of research to be able to get the sketches I want. So there's Facebook groups out there, Twitter handles. Sometimes it's best just to reach out to the artist directly to figure out their situation. Because, for instance, I wanted to get a sketch in here from Ty Templeton. It took me 2 conventions, but I finally got a Ty Templeton sketch that I've shown many times on the Comic Core here. And like I said, 2 conventions to get my Poison Ivy, but I finally did it. I pretty much figured out the cons he was going to and the rates space. The rates is the biggest thing, and the time and the way he takes commissions. Because some of the artists, they'll take, like, if they're there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they'll only take the Friday amount of commissions and be able to they know what they can crank out in one day, and they'll cap it at that to make it fair for the people who have Saturday tickets and Sunday tickets, so on and so forth. But there's some artists like Ty, he just fills up the whole weekend Friday. So the first con I went Saturday because I had to work Friday. And unfortunately, I went Saturday, waited his line first thing. He got to his table. He's like, I'm filled up for the weekend. Sorry. So you kind of got to know what's going on. You got to do your research a little bit. Like I said, get into those Facebook groups. There's one in particular I follow. It has a lot of great information. Basically, you just search the artist, and you can see previous examples of their work and what they paid at the time. Because unfortunately, artists, they get paid, they don't get paid, but they get charged so much for their table, and they have to adjust the rates as such. So you want to be prepared for the rate increases and just to see what you can get for the price you're going to pay.
You have more than one book? Because I'm finding that, when you go get one done, it takes hours, bro. I mean, your book could be gone all day. You may not get it back till tomorrow.
No,
so,
that's happened to me many times before.
Your plan is like, I'm going to get 5 sketches in here. And then, you're on Sunday and you're like, shit, I only got 3 because the first guy kept my book for a day and a half.
I only got 1 last year.
You only got one.
I think Carson's advice to me last year was plan on no more than 2 or 3 in a weekend.
I think that's good advice.
You must have had a 4-leaf clover on you last year, man. You were getting them left and right.
I was nailing some good ones too, man.
But
this is probably the coolest thing that I've gotten. I mean, the artwork in here is fantastic. Livio Ramondelli. This guy was cool. Not only do they do this, but you sit at the table and you chat with him while he was doing it.
That's awesome. I have to look for him this year.
The Fame brothers. Are you guys familiar with these guys?
Oh, that looks awesome. I like that.
That is cool.
There was a lot of just really good stuff, and this has really been my favorite part of conventions is getting this artwork because, hey, guys, I mean, honestly, nobody else has, that one in their book.
Right.
That's unique to me, and I think the unique artwork just lends my very first one. You guys remember the Galactus?
Oh yeah,
hell yeah.
The unique artwork being something that isn't mine, but this is mine. Nobody else has this. This is the coolest thing ever. And by the way, this is also my advice. Carson, put yours up. Go ahead and put us all four. Show the size of yours. Mine's the size of my face. It's a little notebook size. His the size of a comic book. Do you know what it costs to put a commission in that one? And what it costs to put a commission in this one?
Yeah, that's something I never thought.
That is strategery, my friends.
Strategery indeed.
Because that shit's expensive. Get full page color.
There's more room for everything.
and that's where my life felt. This is where the life felt thing. You gave me the idea to do this. So everybody that's been in this book, or anybody that I got to sign a comic book, signed this, except Liefeld.
Except, oh man. So
wait, you got Liefeld to sign the book?
No,
I paid $40-something for him to sign a book after
he wouldn't sign your book.
No, yeah. When I said, "Oh, by the way," after he signed my book, he said, "Hey, is there any chance you can sign here?" And he turned around, walked away, and pointed at his handler. Didn't even say anything. Just got up, walked away, pointed at his handler. His handler walked up to me, and goes, "Can I help you?" I said, "Well, yeah. Well, no. Everyone else that signed for me has signed the book. I just asked him if he goes, yeah, $40. And that's it.
Wow.
Anyway, you guys get this.
We're approaching the top of the hour here. So you guys got any final thoughts on con prep, Andy?
Yeah. Don't forget to check social media before a con. The biggest thing I've found with conventions is I'm going to meet family. I'm going to meet friends.
Yeah.
So plan ahead. Talk to some people. I know there's probably 20 people that are going to be at C2E2 that I'm looking forward to meeting and hanging out with again. So check social media, send some messages, plan ahead, and look for those people. That's, the comics, but the people. That's really the experience, and the people are really what I go for. So check social media. Don't forget to do that.
Drew?
I hear that if you're going to MegaCon, just bring a pillow and a blanket and you can crash with JB. That's what the internet has said so far.
I'm gonna get so much trouble. Timeshare's gonna be. Wait a minute. Where are all these people coming from?
I would say if you're going with a group, make sure you bring a pillow and a blanket because you might end up sleeping on the couch.
True that.
JB, anything else?
Now just be prepared for high prices and lines, especially if you're excited to go see a Jim Lee or a Todd McFarlane. You just stand in line for a while.
Yeah, my last advice is don't forget to sleep. We talked about all this exciting, fun stuff that's about to happen, all these friends you're going to meet, all the creators, the craziness that will be the DC, the Marvel booths, if they're there, and all that stuff. It's a lot to take in. It really is. So sleep.
Yeah. Don't stay up until 3 a.m. drinking in the back alley watching Steranko walk around with his people in Baltimore.
Or do.
Or two. All right. So we got one more piece of business to take care of here tonight, and that's the randomizer. What are going to read next week? So unfortunately, since we don't have a live chat tonic, we took to the Comic Core Facebook chat. That monstrosity.
After Reaver, we've decided that Big Ben 70's on timeout for at least a week.
Thank you, by the way, Big Ben 70 for suggesting Reaver. So anyway, let's do the screen share here. And then we'll get
Carson freeze.
Carson.
Carson's frozen.
I thought it was me for a second.
Carson's Frozen. We should all freeze.
Now he's got to edit this.
No, he's not gonna edit it.
Oh, what happened to the randomizer?
The randomizer has spoken,
Carson.
and it says Seawood is frozen.
We're next week. We're going to be reading the little spinny wheel of loading.
Which what gives us a chance to while we're waiting here. Drew, what have you got coming up this week?
Oh, this week, I don't know what I've got coming up, but just this last week, I filmed a review with Jason Cantu over there on the S&B Network, the Cantu Manchu review crew. So check that out, SNB Network on YouTube. We reviewed Wolverine #1. We had a lot of fun doing it.
Oh, can you give me what did you give me your grade? Just the grade. Don't give me any of the commentary. Your grade on Wolverine 1.
Over at the SMB Network, we do a price grade, right? $3.99, $2.99, $1.99, the dollar bin, right? I said it was a $2.99 book.
$2.99 book. Okay, what's the high?
Yeah.
I mean, the face value on the thing was more than that.
Well, I'm saying that our the high is $3.99.
Okay,
you know,
okay.
right. It's like it's a star system, pretty much.
You went middle of the road. Okay. So far,
I'll see what's back.
So I just lost the entire randomizer,
and it was.
Oh wait,
you lost the entire randomizer.
The entire randomizer I typed up before the show.
How many titles were on that randomizer?
It was
huge. It was huge.
So yeah, it completely crashed Google Chrome when I went to share screen.
Oh man,
completely crashed. So
well, we kept it going. We were just talking about what we got coming up. Andy, what have you got coming up this week?
I'm actually probably gonna do my giveaway today. Once we get done with this,
nice. If you need any help, maybe I can.
Yeah. So when you guys are watching this, we gave this away earlier today.
Well, I'm just actually gonna post. I'm gonna go live today. You'll see it on the thumbnail, and it's gonna be my subscriber raffle, if you will. All of the subscribers. There's been a lot of great karma and a lot of great opportunities going around, and I want to share that.
Very nice.
Awesome.
So check out my channel. Check out the how to enter, and it's gonna go for a month. It's gonna go till the end of March because that'll be a Tuesday, the 31st is my day off. So I'll be able to pick that. And there's gonna be video entries. It'll be if you comment below on my video, you get one entry. If you do a video and comment the link to that video, you're gonna get 3 entries. So we're gonna have
I got a question. Does it have to be a video specifically for your thing, or can I make a mention of it during one of my shows?
Oh, look at that. JB's looking for the sly little enemy in this contest gimmick.
During one of the shows. That still kind of work.
If you find a way to enter into the contest in one of your shows, then I'd say go throw that in there and just at least put a way of finding where it is in there, because that's the whole idea.
I want supplementary advertising on entries. That's what I want. I want every time I mention you on the core, I want 3 more entries.
There we go.
There
we go. Randomizer.
Hey.
All right. So I didn't put every single thing in that I had originally, obviously, because we'd be here typing all day. So I have V for Vendetta, New X-Men, Daredevil by Mark Waid, Manhattan Project's Jonathan Hickman, House/Powers of X, Kingdom Come, Marvel's Chew, Why the Last Man, Astonishing X-Men. What else do we need to add?
Ooh, V for Vendetta.
Yep, it's on there.
It's the first one he said.
Immortal Hulk.
Okay.
There's my ability to remember things.
All right, what else we got?
Little Wing.
What's Little Wing?
Little Bird, you mean?
Little Bird.
Oh, Little Bird. Okay.
Did you say Little Wayne?
Little Wing. I'm thinking of the song.
Little
Bird.
A milli.
I don't. Okay. What else? Anything?
How about Descender?
Okay.
Ooh,
I'm going to put Green Lantern Rebirth because we want to read some Green Lantern.
Yeah, I want to read that EVS book.
Yeah, we love that guy. Yes, we do. He's great.
Oblivion.
I can't really read.
Yeah.
Throw Magic Order on there.
Magic Order.
All right.
All right.
Anything else?
Let's roll it and see.
All
right.
One time. Oblivion
Hey.
Song.
Hey,
Wow.
all right.
I'm glad
Nice.
I got all those for 20 cents the other day. I can't wait. I'm actually going to read them issue by issue.
Nice.
But dang. So big thanks to everyone for joining us for the premiere tonight. Hopefully I can convince somebody to edit whatever happened to my computer in the last 5
we're
minutes.
good. We're good. I
So,
think we talked over it. You're fine.
cool.
Yeah. Well,
I
it'll
just
be
like
a unique edition.
I just like the idea that the original randomizer list just crashed your browser. Just
Yeah, it was so epic and massive. The Comic Core chat randomizer, it just
No,
annihilated
Oblivion Song is a
everything.
good pick, though. Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what's funny? Oblivion Song wasn't even on the original list. So all that original list, it meant nothing anyway. But big thanks to everyone for joining us tonight. I guess if you're at C2E2, you see me, you see Andy, definitely feel free to say hi and all that good stuff. But other than that, I guess you guys already went through final thoughts. So we're just going to end this thing. JB, sign us out.
Hey, everybody. Now, don't forget, we had a good time.